Dreambound. The journey begins. Lila had always loved dreaming. Each night, she eagerly slipped into slumber, where the boundaries of reality melted away. She found refuge in her dreams, a place where she could escape the pressures of her daily life, a world full of adventure and possibilities. This particular night, she found herself in a vibrant world filled with towering trees, sparkling rivers, and mountains that seemed to touch the sky. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, and the sun painted the landscape in hues of gold and emerald. It felt as if she was in a painting come to life. As she wandered through this dreamscape, she stumbled upon a quaint village where the inhabitants were friendly and colorful creatures, small, whimsical beings with iridescent wings and laughter that sounded like chimes. They welcomed her with open arms, inviting her to join their festivities. Lila danced with them under a canopy of stars, her heart light with joy. They shared stories of their world, of the magic that flowed through the land like a river, connecting every creature and plant. Lila felt a sense of belonging she had never known in her waking life. For the first time, she was part of something wonderful. But as night fell in the dream world, the atmosphere shifted. The joyous laughter faded into whispers, and shadows stretched ominously across the landscape. The villagers' smiles twisted into unsettling grins, and Lila felt a knot of unease forming in her stomach. The descent into nightmare. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and a chilling wind swept through the village, carrying the scent of smoke and decay. The once friendly creatures morphed into grotesque figures, their eyes glinting with malevolence. Lila realized she was no longer in a beautiful dream, she had crossed into a nightmare. Panic surged through her as she turned to flee, but the village she had loved now twisted into a labyrinth of dread. The once vibrant colors dulled into grays and blacks, and the whimsical creatures became nightmarish shadows. They pursued her with a relentless hunger, their laughter echoing eerily in her ears. Lila ran through the twisted paths, the landscape morphing into a maze of despair. Every corner she turned only led her deeper into darkness. In the distance, she could see flickering lights, like distant stars, but they seemed to elude her grasp. As she stumbled upon an ancient, crumbling castle, hope flared momentarily in her chest. Desperate, she entered, hoping to find sanctuary. The castle loomed ominously, its stone walls covered in creeping vines, casting long shadows that seemed to reach for her. Inside, it was dark and filled with the scent of decay. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, and Lila could hear whispers, voices filled with malice. The hallways twisted and turned, each step echoing in the silence. Shadows danced along the walls, whispering secrets of fear and dread. She could feel the eyes of the creatures watching her, waiting for the moment she would falter. Heart pounding, Lila raced through the corridors, desperately searching for an exit. The confrontation. In the depths of the castle, Lila found a grand hall with a massive mirror at its center. As she approached, the reflection warped, showing not only her image but also the twisted forms of the creatures lurking behind her. They were closing in, and Lila felt the weight of their hunger pressing down on her. In that moment of sheer panic, she remembered a lesson from her childhood: dreams are powerful, and they can be shaped by the dreamer. With all her strength, she focused on the image of the beautiful village, the laughter, and the joy she had felt just hours before. She willed the mirror to reflect not her fear but her hope. The glass shimmered, and with a burst of light, the hall exploded with color. The creatures screeched as they were pushed back by a wave of warmth and brightness. Lila stood firm, holding onto the memory of happiness. The dreamscape around her began to shift once more. The darkness retreated, and the village reformed, but this time it was brighter and more vibrant than ever. The villagers returned to their original forms, their smiles genuine and warm. They celebrated Lila as their savior, the one who had brought light back to their world. But Lila knew this was not the end. The shadows that had chased her were still lurking at the edges of her consciousness, waiting for the moment she would let her guard down. Every night, as she returned to the dream world, she faced the remnants of that nightmare. A world reclaimed. Determined to reclaim her dream, Lila began to explore this world more deeply. She learned from the villagers about the magic that sustained their land. They spoke of the balance between light and dark, joy and fear. With each passing night, she delved into the dreams of others, gathering strength from their hopes and dreams, combining them with her own. Lila discovered that she could weave new dreams, create beautiful landscapes, and even summon new friends to share in her adventures. Together, they built a sanctuary within the dream, a place where laughter and joy reigned supreme. They held festivals, painted the skies with colors no one had ever seen, and danced until dawn. But Lila also took the time to face her fears. Each night, she would visit the castle where the nightmare had begun, standing before the mirror that once reflected her dread. She would confront the shadows, reminding herself of the light that existed within her. Slowly, the darkness began to dissipate, no longer able to hold her captive. The final battle. One night, however, the darkness returned with a vengeance. A powerful storm erupted in the dream world, clouds swirling and lightning flashing. The villagers fled in fear as the creatures re-emerged, stronger and more terrifying than before. Lila felt the familiar dread creeping back, but this time she was ready. With the support of her newfound friends, Lila gathered everyone in the grand hall of the castle. They joined hands, forming a circle of light. Together, they began to chant, their voices rising above the storm, creating a symphony of hope. Lila focused on the mirror, willing it to reflect their strength. The storm raged, and the shadows grew closer, but Lila could feel the power of their unity. As they chanted, a bright light emanated from the mirror, illuminating the hall. The shadows hesitated, then surged forward. Lila took a deep breath, channeling every ounce of courage she had. Together, she cried, and they poured their energy into the light. The mirror erupted with a blinding flash, enveloping the room in radiance. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in fury as the light engulfed them. In that moment, Lila understood, the darkness could not exist without the light. It was a part of her, a reminder of her fears but also of her strength. As the light intensified, the shadows dissolved, leaving behind nothing but a warm glow. A new beginning. As the storm subsided, Lila opened her eyes to a transformed dream world. The colors were more vivid than ever, and the villagers rejoiced, free from the fear that had haunted them. They danced and celebrated, grateful for the bravery they had shown together. Lila awoke the next morning with a renewed sense of purpose. She understood now that her dreams were not just an escape but a canvas where she could shape her reality. The nightmares would always be a part of her, but they no longer held power over her. Each night, as she returned to the dream world, she was greeted with warmth and joy. The villagers had become her family, and together they continued to create, explore, and dream. Lila transformed the once terrifying castle into a beautiful sanctuary, a place for healing and growth. With each passing night, she wove stories of adventure and hope, ensuring that darkness could never take root again. Lila found that by facing her fears, she could embrace the light, and in doing so, she found her true self.